Hey everyone, another new week of the Retro Gamers. Man, I got a marathon going on today. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
What's up, Ant?
Hey, well, that marathon is partially my fault. Well, actually, it's entirely my fault, so sorry about that.
Nah, don't worry about it. I just came off of recording one podcast, wonderful podcast. Now I'm off to another one, which is fantastic as well. Of course, this is the go-to podcast, of course.
Well, I would hope so. Otherwise, you're just going to hurt my feelings.
Well, that's secondary. No, this is definitely my go-to podcast. But I did just record, which will drop a little bit later. PS Midnight Cast. Definitely check them out. All things 90s. So the good with nostalgia. We did some wrestling, some SummerSlam talk, since that will drop literally right after SummerSlam. So
nice, that's right. August is you're gearing up for SummerSlam, huh?
Man, August is a busy month for me. I'm telling you, I got the first Saturday in August. I got a wrestling show in Staten Island. The old, what used to be TNA, now Global Force Wrestling. Then the following week we got the Expo, Long Island. Right. The week after that, I'm doing something. Oh, SummerSlam. The weekend after that is SummerSlam.
I was just going to say, there's that little event that we just mentioned.
Then I guess I'm doing something in that final weekend. I can't remember. My Augusts are always booked, which I guess is good. Shouldn't complain.
Yeah, well, I'm equally booked because, I'm busy over here.
Well, you're jet setting over there.
Yes, I'm in Orlando next weekend. So.
Oh, that's right. Yes, all righty.
And then I'll be in New York for the Expo
and
other things. I got some business I need to take care of.
Well, you're in New York. Might as well take care of it.
That's right.
Good.
I will not say what it is.
Soon to be found out.
Not if I do it right.
Other than that, though, things are going good over here. And your week has been pretty good?
It was a very strange week, actually, because I've been in Los Angeles for 2 entire weeks, and
wow,
I'm kind of at a loss.
It's not often you do that.
No, especially after I spent more or less 4 weeks traveling to different places. So being home for 2 whole weeks was definitely it was great. It was absolutely great. I'm very happy that I'm home. But it's weird to try and get back into a routine. Because then I'll start getting comfortable in my routine, and then I'm back on a plane. So,
and then routine is broken.
Yeah, so it's just very odd, but it's been nice. It's been absolutely nice. I've been trying to stay a little low key for a change and recharge the batteries before I start flying all over the place again.
Excellent, as you should.
Yep.
So we've, our Facebook page, we've been doing really good keeping up with the Facebook page, facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast. We've been posting some fun stuff up on there.
Yeah, we're throwing updates. We're throwing updates up almost daily now, which is really good for us.
Yeah, I know, right? I really liked we put up the baseball stuff, which is really cool. And then
I thought that was fun.
A listener of ours posted the Bill Buckner famous baseball through the legs as done through RBI baseball, which I remember watching that years ago. It was hysterical.
And I never saw it before, so I sat down and watched it on my lunch hour today. It was really cool.
I mean, that's such a famous scene in baseball history. Mets, Red Sox playoffs. Man, Mookie hits the ball, goes right through Buckner's legs, which end up causing the Mets to win the game. And then later on, I believe the series that year. But that is when they won the World Series. When I watched that RBI thing, it plays out it's like a 9-minute clip, and it starts off, I think, at the top of the rotation for the Mets. I forgot how nail biting that whole half. It was the bottom of the 10th, and the Mets were down 5-2 or something.
They were down 5-3. They were down 5-3. They were down by 2 runs.
That's right.
Bottom of the 10th, and then their first 2 guys at bat. I think they both popped out.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking bottom of the 10th, 5-3. And if the Red Sox won, they were going to take the series because they were up 3-2. So, and then and then just the biggest comeback probably in Mets history.
Well, yeah, but all you do is you focus on the one part with Buckner, and that was a hell of an inning, and it took RBI baseball, for me at least, to realize how important that inning was and how clutch it was. Good God.
Yeah, and whoever like staged that in RBI baseball, I mean, kudos to them because I mean, they had to reenact every single thing that happened in that inning. They had to actually, I'm sorry, they had to reenact the entire game because like their scoreboard was set up,
Yeah.
bottom of the 10th, 5-3, so like they had to maneuver their way all the way through a game to get to that, which was kind of awesome.
Yeah, right. Imagine how many times it took to do that. And it kind of leads to like a lot of these, I know Lowbrow, I think, is one of the studios that does a lot of like the 8 and 16-bit like videos on YouTube, like Sonic for Hire or Pokemon, Rusty Adventure and stuff like that. I mean, which are so funny. But done in that 8 and 16-bit style is pretty cool. Kind of see how that's become a niche in animation nowadays.
Oh yeah, no question. And there was also was it on Comedy Central or was it Cartoon Network that had the that 8-bit animated like sitcom?
Code
Remember
Monkeys.
that? Code Monkeys.
Code Monkeys. Yeah. It was probably Comedy Central. I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was actually really fun.
It's hard to find. I can't find it. Every time I try and look, I can't find it anywhere.
I think when I was watching it, I had watched it while it was on. I think it was on Netflix at the time.
Ooh, all right.
I never finished it because I think I kind of got stale after a certain point.
Okay, I see that.
But I mean, but the nostalgia factor was kind of cool to see like an actual like 20-minute show done completely in 8-bit. So it was really fun.
Definitely. And one more thing I want to mention that was on our Facebook page was we do get a lot of contributors, which is really cool. Now, forgive me. I apologize because I'm really bad because I'm just beat today. Who'd you get the Famicom for, the mini Famicom? Your friends there, Pennsylvania?
My friends Christine and Charlie over in Pennsylvania.
Yep. Awesome that you got them the system, but to see how they had it set up, just hanging from the television, it's just driving me bad.
Yes, and I messaged him about that because I thought that was interesting. But then again, I mean, let's face facts. You saw where if you saw the image, their TV is set up above their fireplace, and we all know that the NES Classic and the Mini Famicoms, they have very short wires and they have very short controller wires as well. Mm-hmm. So if your TV is up that high, I can't think of any other way you're going to be able to do that.
I may donate him. Give me his address off air, and I'll send him my 10-foot HDMI extension cable.
Okay. Yeah, because they definitely need one. Maybe we can do a GoFundMe for them or something.
Yeah. If everyone chips in a dime, we should be good to go.
Well, hopefully that was just a temporary setup. I'm sure they're gonna. They'll set it up properly, or they'll just never tell me exactly, like what's going on over there.
Oh man,
I just figured you get one of those the Velcro stickers, and you just put that on the back so you can stick it to the wall.
Oh, totally, right? That'd be the best way to do it. Absolutely, absolutely. So,
although you're gonna hurt your neck, like staring up at that screen sitting on the ground. So.
That TV is a little high. That's all right. That's all awesome. Good. It's all good. Like
Love you guys, by the way.
Yes, no, totally. I'll send you the HDMI wire in the morning. So, but no, that was pretty cool. It's pretty interesting to see like such a young, the new generation playing such an old Japanese system. It's pretty cool. This whole, let's face facts. If it wasn't for retro, we wouldn't be doing this right now.
It's very true. Did you also see the article that I put up earlier today about the Virtual Boy?
Yes, I did see that, yes.
Now, see, somebody actually found a way to make the Virtual Boy useful.
But
and I'm not one to ever admit that I'm wrong, but I have to admit, like, I have been found wrong because 2 years ago, this guy found a perfect use for the Virtual Boy.
But the game he invented, the way you play the game is you annoy your friends until they tell you to stop.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. Do you remember the name of the game?
Something Mustache.
Yes. It was, oh man, now I'm trying to remember the name of the stupid thing. But it was definitely awesome. It was Mustache Mayhem.
That's right, Mustache Mayhem. I was going to say Mania. Mustache Mayhem.
And so basically, just to explain, if you didn't see the article on our page, please go to our page on Facebook. But this guy took a Virtual Boy, a broken Virtual Boy, and what he did was he created a game on it called Mustache Mayhem. And what it is he uses a camera to capture his friends, the same way you would use your camera on your phone, except when you capture your friends on the camera, it puts a mustache on them. And the longer you have a person in frame with the mustache on, the higher your score goes.
And all it says, it just goes, mustache, mustache, mustache. That's all it does.
Right, and for every second that you have it on somebody, it says that and gives you a point. And then the goal is obviously to you hold it there for as long as possible until your friends can't stand being around you anymore. So this is probably the only seal of approval I will give a Virtual Boy in terms of usage.
What about
so for anybody,
I was going to say, what about the Virtual Boy, the hacked Street Fighter 2 tournament?
No, that's just wrong. Unacceptable. The only way to use a Virtual Boy from now on is to play Mustache Mayhem.
Well, maybe it will be on sale at the expo. Who knows?
Possibly. And you know what? There's only one version of Mustache Mayhem out there, so it's incredibly rare.
That's gonna be some pretty penny. I'm afraid to think about the amount of money I want to drop at the expo. Because collecting here in the U.S. is just wackiness. I mean, just some of the stuff that's for sale. And, when your trips to Japan and when you send over photos, not only that, actually the stuff that you've bought, the stuff you've sent me that I've bought through you, I mean, they keep their quality of games so pristine, it's almost as if it's a whole different world in collecting over there.
Well, yeah, and that actually brings up a good point, because there was another article that I posted. I think it was it was earlier. Well, this drops on Tuesday, so this would have been on Thursday or Friday, where I posted an article on retro collecting in the U.S. and Japan and why they differ. The key thing to keep in mind when you read this, and now me having been back and forth to Japan so many times, not only do I understand why their games are in such great condition, but now I also understand that they have a rating system also.
Yeah.
So
a weird one too.
Yeah. So, but the cool thing about it is that in the U.S., the thing in the U.S. is that we've become, or not even we become, but I think when it comes to video gaming, I think it's almost like we became a little bit of like an ADD consumer. So we get a system, we play the games, a new system comes out, we drop the previous system,
absolutely,
erase it from memory, and move on to the next one.
Yep.
It's only been in the last few years that retro gaming has really made this big statement in our country, and now people are starting to collect games. In Japan, and this is always one of the things, because when we've discussed the Famicom and the Super Famicom and stuff like that before, including I did a retro spotlight on the Famicom, remember, not too long ago, because it was its anniversary, 35th anniversary, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it lasted too.
Right, and I had pointed out that it wasn't discontinued until 2001 or 2002. So we were talking almost a good almost 20 years on the market. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is because in Japan, systems don't retire when a new system comes out. So the Super Famicom or Super Nintendo came out in the early 90s, 1991. Mm-hmm. I was and in the US, obviously, everybody forgot about the Nintendo. It's Super Nintendo came out, and Nintendo was just done, more or less.
Yeah, pretty much.
We had games coming out until maybe 94, 95-ish, and then that was the end of the Nintendo. In Japan, the Nintendo went on for a good solid 10 years after the Super or the Famicom, 10 years after the Super Famicom came out. So, so there's just this thing in Japanese culture. It's just one of those where it's not necessarily that you respect it, but you don't move on from things. You actually hold on to them and you value them. There's a value to them. and a tradition to them, which is why when I went shopping in their stores, I would keep coming back with stuff, and you're like, wow, it's in the box.
Yeah.
And the instruction booklets are in there, and the cartridge looks brand new and everything like that. It's because they take tremendous care of their stuff. It's not the type of things where they just throw them away, where they toss it aside or anything like that. They keep everything. So it's really cool to read that. It was a really good article to read because now I've been there firsthand and I understand it. And I see the difference because like here in the US, like you remember like Funcoland and like, and then eventually GameStop, places like that would sell used games here in the States. Like you were just lucky if you got a clean cartridge.
Honestly, right? Like you'd think you'd get a Blockbuster one, like with all the Blockbuster stickers on it or some kid's name written on it. And then you're lucky if you get it at a decent price because it's still jacked up in price sometimes.
Yeah,
but
I just got a couple of games in the mail from GameStop because I ordered. GameStop was doing having a sale, and they're 360 and Wii games, so they're not even that old. I'm like, they're and I've got the cover art. I was like, but some of them have stickers on them, no instruction booklets inside. So and it's weird to kind of get it, and it's like, wow. I was like, people don't take care of their stuff here as much.
Yeah.
So you're always winding up with, I got this game, but it's got like stuff all over it, and it devalues it.
No, totally. And I know that I read the article that you posted on the Facebook page, and I one of the things that I read on it, the article will correct me if I'm wrong. It's like Japan keeps all that good stuff, like you said, they have a 4 scale rating. It's like A apostrophe, B and C, and like C grade games are still really good quality games, but all the ones that are like have no box, well, not have no box, but like maybe like a tear in the sticker or writing on it, or just really junked up, those are the ones that come over here and the ones that we buy because those are the ones that we get.
Yeah, and we'll pay more money for them than what they sell there because, like, I remember, it makes sense. Again, after reading the article, it makes total sense to me now because when I was in like Super Potato and looking through games and stuff, they would have these little baskets, like kind of down closer to the floor, like on the shelves, like just little baskets, and there were a whole bunch of games just thrown in it.
Really?
And so, like, so I would I would take the basket out and I would flip through the games, and I'm like, all these games are like super cheap. And a lot of them I didn't recognize very much, but just looking at them, I'm like, I wonder why they're so cheap. And I'm like, now I know, because in Japan, you don't buy those games. You want to buy the games, in better, or for the most part, like people want to buy games in better condition. They want the box, they want the instruction booklet, they want the cartridge to be, clean, and they want the artwork to be clean. Hence,
kind of like what you've been doing.
Yeah, basically, because I've told you my whole spiel about like I want to get the games in as pristine condition, and that had nothing to do with my trip to Japan. It's just that's the way that I like to collect. Yeah, that's just me. It's like I like to buy things complete when I can, So any opportunity that I get to do that is great. But again, you're whether it's here in the U.S. or in Japan, you're gonna pay the price for it.
Yeah.
So and that's why a lot of games like. I saw a Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past for Super Famicom in Super Potato in Japan, and it was $500. And because it was probably A-rated. I don't know if it was sealed or never opened before. It may have been a brand new one. I don't know, but yeah, like you can see, and there were certain games, like remember, like we were talking not too long ago, like I put pictures up on Facebook where there was one game in one of those images that was 1,900 yen.
Oh yeah,
or $1,900, and I'm like, who's going to pay that much for that game? A hardcore collector in Japan who will want that game in the condition that it was presenting it will buy that. And then it's not only that, and with the rating system, though, they'll also explain. They're very, very thorough about it because. When I was paying for my games, like I would buy my games, and then I'm not kidding you, like because I would buy so many, I would be standing at the counter with with the employee for about 10 minutes because they had to open every box. They had to show it to me. They had to get my approval. Like they would they would literally show it to me.
Wow.
Yeah, they would show it to me and wait for me to nod my head and be like, "Oh, it's okay." And they would show me the booklet. They would take the cartridge out and show it to me. They would do all of this stuff just to make sure that I was happy with the condition that it was in. And it makes.
Here you go. Here's the game.
Yeah,
Gong,
exactly.
and then you move on.
No, that was pseudo-racist.
What? No.
But so
cultural diversity.
But no, I mean, but just again, it's just one of those things. It's about quality is really important for to them. So to see them go through this whole process, because in my head, it's like I didn't want them to open anything because I wanted to keep it sealed in the plastic because that's the way I think. It's like leave it in the plastic. I don't want it open. But that's their job. They have to show you everything to make sure that you're happy with it. And if you're not happy with it, they will get you another one.
So let me ask you a question. The ones that you have in the box that are sealed, so they opened up the plastic, opened up the box, showed you, put it back in the box, and then like resealed it,
yes.
And it's not like a shrink wrap. It's like a tight seal on it.
Well, no, I mean it's a plastic that's kind of like this one may not be a good example, but like I'm holding one here in my hand right now, and it's my Zelda 2 for the disc system. This one's like really sealed. Like you can see, like it's got
legit.
like
that's
legit.
There's no zipper or anything on it.
Yeah, but most of the ones that they have sealed are like on the back here, like it's like a self seal almost.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's like glued on. It's like a stick.
I know.
Stick on so that you can open the flap and close it. So like that, that's what they would do. They would open it up and then when I was happy with it, they would go through the process of putting it all back into the plastic.
That's wild.
So they didn't give it to me without the plastic. They put it right back in the plastic. So yeah, like everything is all about quality. And then on top of it, to your point, to what you said earlier about the rating system.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you see that?
No, it's funny. I didn't notice that on the games because if you look at like this Zelda, it's got all it's got all this writing on it. I go, which I don't know.
Yeah, it's all Japanese. Yeah,
right. It's all Japanese. So, but on some of the ones that I have here, I noticed that there are letters on them. So I had no idea when I was picking them up that they had letters, but the whole point of all of the descriptions that they put on these labels is they're basically explaining to you the condition the game is in, or if it's missing, like there's an instruction booklet missing, or like I'm assuming this Legend of Zelda 2 that I have in my hands right now, because I haven't opened it yet. Like this is one of those sealed ones that I kind of don't want to open, unless I buy a disc system so I can play it. But I'm gonna assume what they are pointing out in the description is that that there's something missing from it. I don't know what it is because there is an instruction booklet in here.
I wonder if those came in a bigger box originally, kind of like how CDs used to come.
No, well, that's a good point. I don't know.
And then like a bigger instruction booklet would have been inside of that.
It's possible. Well, no, you can see a thick book.
Oh no, there's something in there. You're right.
So, honestly, I do not know. But again, it just goes to show you, it's like, just imagine a store selling retro games, like used games, new games, whatever it is. But all of their used games like are labeled like this.
That's wild, because I remember, you're right. You mentioned Funkoland, Electronic Boutique, and stuff like that. I mean, they just threw stuff in a bin. You're right, and with people constantly going through the bins, and the games are rubbing up against each other, they're getting scratched up. I mean, some of the used PlayStation games I've gotten with the scratches and everything, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it is. And then and if you look at all the images I've posted online over the last 3 months of Super Potato, you can see exactly how everything is neat, everything is lined up properly. Multiple copies of games are on the shelf together. Anything that's boxed is on a different shelf. Obviously, with the boxes and everything, you got to pay more for those. But again, you pay more for that quality.
And after reading this article, it's funny. All joking aside, the Virtual Boy box, the picture you sent me, that box was beat up. So it's almost like now I'm even kind of shocked it was being sold.
Well, no, I mean it's not to that effect. Like when I bought my Famicom and my Super Famicom, like those things weren't in boxes. Mm-hmm. I bought them as is, which is why they were like not as expensive, because there was a boxed Famicom that I was staring at. I was like, but it was $200. Wow. And I didn't want to spend $200.
I don't blame it.
But they have systems there that are just there was Well, there was the Virtual Boy that I showed you that was like 300.
Yeah.
It was like 300 bucks. But again, like, you got to imagine, like, these used systems are coming from consumers. So, like, that means the consumers there, not the store, but the actual consumers who purchased these things in the past, hung on to all of these things. So then when they wanted to trade it in, they boxed it all up in its original packaging and brought it back. So it's just a testament to, like, you know, how people care for their things there.
No, you're right. Like, I'm even thinking of my own stuff. Like, I remember I just had to, I mean, I'm not really one to sell back anyway, but like, to make room, like, I got rid of all the jewel cases for, like, PlayStation, PS2, and Xbox, original Xbox games. Because, again, I don't plan on selling them back, but I needed the room. So I threw away all the jewel boxes and put the CDs in the zipper cases. Like, I got to imagine that's, like blasphemy over there.
Yeah, basically, because if you went to go trade those in over there, you're going to get pennies.
Yeah.
Because you're not giving them you're not giving them complete items. Like me, I keep everything. Or at least, let me say that differently. Once I started collecting or started paying more attention to it, I started keeping everything.
True,
like all my old stuff from when I was a kid. It's like when I was a kid, I go, you know, oh,
who knew?
You know, who cared?
Yeah.
You know, all you wanted to do was play the game. So the box gets thrown off. And,
Please,
you know, maybe you kept the instruction booklet.
I remember when I got a Super Nintendo, my mom, bless her heart, she was like, all right, time to get rid of your Nintendo. I'm like, why? She's like, because you have a new system. It's an upgraded system. So, you know, you're not going to play the old one anymore. And I remember she coursed me into selling off my NES games and my NES system. And I mean, look, back then, though, there was no such thing as retro. So who knew, like you mentioned before.
Right.
But, you know, it's you're right. Now I can relate it to my Funko Pops. I'm a collector, huge collector of Funko Pops, you know, the little figures with the big doe eyes. When I first started getting them, I took all of them out of the packaging. Who knew? It wasn't until I got, like, through Loot Crate, I got some special editions, had stickers on them. Like, these seem special. I'll keep those in the box. Then I kept the bobbleheads in the box because I couldn't really stand just looking at a bobblehead just bobble its head slowly all day because this house doesn't get rocked.
That's the purpose of a bobblehead.
But there's a 5-year-old upstairs, so that would annoy me. But then I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Everything's staying in a box. So
well, no, I mean, and that's when you actually switch from just being a fan of something to a collector.
Exactly.
And you know, with video games though, at least you can take some type of benefit from it because you can play the games and still be a collector by keeping everything.
True. Very true. You know, it's funny too. One more thing, you're talking about keeping things in pristine. No one here keeps things in pristine. Friend of mine at work, this was a few years ago. Actually, I think I still have it in my closet. He was getting rid of his Genesis. And he's like, so I got a Genesis. I got some games for it. He had like Castlevania. He had Aladdin. Some really good games. So he's like, I'll sell it to you. I'm like, all right, how much? And he offered me something which was ridiculously low. I'm like, but this is first sight unseen. So I'm just thinking I'm just getting the system, getting a controller, and some games. Like, all right, whatever. So I give him the money. It was $50. I'll tell you right now. So $50. So I'm like, all right, cool. Give him the $50. So it was a system and like 6 games. The games were just as is. There really weren't any boxes, which is fine. I'll deal with that. The system. It was a Generation 1 Genesis. Mm-hmm. It came in the original. He still had the original box.
Nice.
He still had the original pamphlets in the box. And I found the original receipt that he kept in the box when he bought the system. And everything was crisp new. I went up to him the next day. I'm like, I have to give you more money. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I cannot accept this for only $50. And I think I tried to give him like another 50 or 75. You wouldn't take it. But like, I'm like, you have to take more money for me. This is not a choice.
Well, good for you for being honest. But yeah, I mean, when you stumble on things like that, it's just amazing. You know,
it was like wild.
Yeah, but again, it's just a testament to some people. Just, you know, there are people out there who are going to keep things in that type of shape, and you know, kudos to them for being able to do that. I wish, you know, obviously. You know, in hindsight, I wish I did that with all of my games. But again, as a kid, you're not thinking that way. Nah. You know, I also wish I didn't trade in so many of my games, you know, in the 90s when Funko Land. when FuncoLand was a thing.
Oh, it was, totally.
It was like, in the U.S. it was a big fad all of a sudden where it was like, hey guys, you don't know what to do with your old games? Trade them in here, and then buy games for your new systems. It was just a cool idea where it's like, oh, I'm never going to play these old ones again because I want to play the new ones.
It's funny.
Here we are.
You're right. We went from like a society of, okay, I'm done with the game. Let me sell it back. I don't need it anymore. So I'll get money to get new games. Where now we're pretty much looking to buy back what we sold at a higher price probably than what we bought it originally.
More or less, yeah, that's about the gist of it.
Well, I guess when it comes
Such is the life of a collector.
Honestly, it is a expensive life, and who knows what we're going to see at the Gaming Expo. I hope to see a lot of good
credit
stuff.
card.
Most of them take cash, so that's good, because if I don't have the cash on me, then I'm stuck.
That's okay. That ATM machine is going to get rammed.
Long Island Retro Gaming Expo, look out. If I see a Legend of Zelda in box for $150, I'm pulling the trigger this time. I'm saying it right now on this show.
All right. And if I see it before you...
As the end of the Retro Gamers comes to a conclusion.
That's it. There's going to... Our last podcast will be us squaring off at the expo for the last copy of Zelda.
Live on Facebook.
Live on Facebook.
But yeah, no, that's what I'm looking forward to most at the Long Island Retro Video Game Expo, August 12th and 13th. Get your tickets, liretro.com. I'm looking forward to seeing those pristine condition games, and I'm also on the lookout after last week. I'm looking for Westward Ho.
Well, I really hope you are, because I don't think you could find a finer game.
I mean, I'm going to have to buy it with rubber gloves, but hopefully I can find
it. And you may want to ask them if you can test it there to make sure it works.
So collecting, and if anyone, if you're listening, hit us up on the old Facebook page there, Facebook.com/Retro Gamers Podcast. Let us know about your collection. Like, maybe you bought some cool games, maybe you've seen some cool games for sale, maybe stuff that you've sold that you regret, and hit us up about it, get a conversation going, and we'll see what the general public has to say as well. So, but it's pretty interesting to see, and I bet from your side as well, Ant, like you said, now you can see, and I bet when you go back to Japan, you're going to be, when you're in Super Potato, it's almost like you're going to be in there with fresh eyes, kind of looking at everything almost.
Which is really dangerous, because like whenever I go there, it already takes me an hour just to figure out where to find a game or a game I'm specifically looking for. Now we can probably triple the time I'm going to be there, because now I'm going to be looking for like, okay, so which character is the grade, and what do these things mean? Because I bought these without any idea of what it means.
Honestly, right?
So if I miss my flight home, it's because I'm stuck in Super Potato. And
I was happy to see Super Potato in the article.
Yeah, see, I mean, for anybody who thought I was making it up, Super Potato's a real place. And not only that, but they pointed out in Tokyo the area that they said there are different sections in the city that cater to a specific thing, and Akihabara, which is where Super Potato is in Tokyo, is called the Electric City because that whole area is just all about gaming. It's all about that type of stuff.
There you go. So if you're ever in Japan, folks, be on the lookout. We got A apostrophe, B, and C. I don't know why it's graded like that, but it is what it is. And Ant, next time you go, you're going to have to be on the lookout now for those grades.
I am going to definitely look for those grades, and then I'm going to bring you back a basket of the crappy games.
Oh, game on.
All right, everybody. This week on the Retro Gamers, we're introducing a couple of new mini segments. I don't know what we're going to be calling them. If they're, they're not really interstitials or whatnot, but we're going to be doing some little mini segments, and we're going to start right off the bat here with a little segment I like to call Wacky Retro Games. Wacky Retro Games.
Wacky Retro.
Yes, and this week's Wacky Retro Game is called Llamatron 2112. That is Llamatron 2112. And when I say Llamatron, I'm talking about llama, the animal. Llamatron 2112.
What system did this grace?
Okay, so this game graced MS-DOS. the Amiga,
Whoa.
and the Atari ST.
That's a new one.
Yep. It was published by Llamasoft Limited.
Boy, these people, they like what they like.
And it was released August 5th of 1992.
Oh,
so
wow.
So what is Lamatron, you may ask? It is a clone of the original Robotron game, where the robot was replaced with, you guessed it, a llama.
And please tell me, don't llamas spit, or those camels?
Yeah, no. Llamas can spit. Camels spit too.
That's what they do in the game.
Basically, you are controlling a llama, and you're shooting various monsters that range from enemy hamburgers to evil faces.
Okay.
All to rescue, in an attempt to rescue the innocent sheep.
Who comes up with this stuff? Oh my
I don't know,
gosh.
but you know what? They came up with it 25 years ago. So this week's wacky retro game, we wish a happy 25th anniversary to Lamatron 2112.
Pick it up at your local Funko Land. So we got collections abound. We were just talking about with the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo. We're really looking forward to getting some games, probably more for collecting as opposed to playing, or at least some of them will be just pure collectors. And, we were talking and kind of asked, what are the expensive games that are out there?
Yeah, and I'm sure there are some standards that everybody knows. That are ultra rare and super expensive, but for people out there who don't collect and just remember their games fondly, you might be surprised to find out which games are actually kind of some of the rarest or most sought after video games in the retro library. So,
absolutely.
So I thought, it seemed like a good idea considering we were just talking about retro collecting. That we also discuss some of those rare birds out there that are only serious collectors would really spend money on.
Oh, absolutely, and some of these that we looked up will be just for the serious collectors. So
yep, and we kept this this list that we came up with is American only, because I saw a few things in Japan that I think would fall on this list, but we didn't factor those in. Because they keep their stuff in much better condition than we do.
They do, because I'm looking at some of the pictures here, and some of these are beat up.
Yeah. So we're just going to talk briefly about some of these guys. And you want to start the ball?
Sure. So let's. Ooh, that I did not want to see that.
So we've got a top 10 here. However, we're going to slide an extra one in.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be doing a top 11.
Yes, because there's a new game that made the list.
There's a new game that made the list as of yesterday, I believe.
Just about, yeah. So
I'm sorry, but when I say yesterday, I mean Thursday of last week.
Of course.
I'll never get used to this whole offset. Like we don't record the day that it drops.
There's no fourth wall. There's no fourth.
Yeah, and no, I can't get used to this.
So all right, so let's kick it off here with number 10 and one of the
number 11.
See, I've already forgotten. I've already screwed this up. Number 11.
Pay attention, man.
Number 11, which is also probably one of the worst games ever made, but still begs for a high value. Atari's E.T., the extraterrestrial, which...
Right. There's a caveat to this one.
Yeah, and we're going to give the price ranges for these, because remember, we're talking either pretty much card only versus in-box, not even mint in-box, just in-box, but this game goes for anywhere from $5 to about $1,530.
Well, and the reason why it goes for that high is because I don't know if I know you've seen it and I've seen it, and I'm blanking on the name of the documentary where went to go. Game Over, where they went to go to the to prove the urban legend that a bunch of these were buried in a ditch somewhere in Arizona or Nevada or wherever the hell it was. Mm-hmm. And when they actually dug them up and found out that it was actually true, they did bury them in the city of Alamogordo.
That's a name for
that was it. It was Alamogordo, New Mexico. They found a whole bunch of ETs and other games. They found, I think. They found like Missile Command, Defender.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, like Atari just like buried all of these games in a landfill. It got buried in a landfill. So when they dug all of these up, some of them were still like sealed in boxes and things like that. And obviously the largest amount that they found were ET, because they had made more ET games than systems that were sold.
Yeah.
So figure that one out. Not exactly the smartest thing. But almost 800,000 games were excavated out of this landfill. So naturally what happened was they took some of those and they threw them up on eBay. And they were, they were just, trying to see how much money they would collect off of these. And one of the highest bids came from a copy of E.T. For $1,500.
Yeah, man. Just go back a little bit. I mean, like you said, it wasn't just E.T. There was other games in there. Almost 800,000 games were unburied. That I did not know. That's pretty wild. But
yeah, I mean, that's huge. Absolutely
totally
huge.
But to go back to this, it's pretty cool. It looks like they made over, at least at the time of this article, they made over $37,000 with a lot of the eBay auction that they were doing. And it's funny too, because I bought my ET for like $2. I mean, granted, it wasn't buried in the desert.
Yours wasn't buried in New Mexico for 30 years.
Who knows? Maybe it was. These people don't know what they're selling sometimes.
So then if we create a time capsule and we just bury all of our games for 30 years and unearth them 30 years from now, can we sell them for a ton of money?
Be lucky if we can sell them, period.
Be lucky if we can find them.
That's very true. Let's put a homing beacon on it. Number 9.
Number 10.
Number 10. Dang it. It says number 9 on my screen. Atlantis 2, which ran, it fetched anywhere between $5,000 and $7,000. That's a big jump from ET.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge jump. That was one of those. That was one of those games where it was a sequel to the original game Atlantis, and there was a contest where players were invited to send the photo of their high score in Atlantis, and then the best players were then sent a copy of Atlantis 2, which was a much more complicated game from the original Atlantis. So because that version was not mass produced, it was only given to people who did this.
Yeah.
The game is rare, which is why you can get a copy of the game. If you get a copy of the game, you're going to be paying through the nose for it.
Well, it depends. Here's what I like about this. So here's the difference. Here's how you know the difference between Atlantis and Atlantis 2. Basically,
go for it.
Both cartridges looked exactly the same. They look like Atlantis. But I guess the company who made Atlantis didn't decide to make a whole new cover sticker for it. So all he did was just threw an extra little white sticker, probably the ones back in the day that you use at like video game rental stores, as just red Atlantis 2. So basically, it was an Atlantis sticker with like a handwritten Atlantis 2 probably on it, which was easily able to take off. And apparently, there is a way you can tell if you're buying the original version, like Atlantis 1, which is cheap, versus Atlantis 2, which could be a lot of money. And you gotta feel bad for the seller who didn't realize they were selling Atlantis 2.
Oh yeah, and you gotta feel bad for a collector who bought what they thought was an Atlantis 2, and it turned out to be an Atlantis 1.
Yeah, right. Number 9. Aha, got it right.
There you go.
11, 10. Yeah, number 9. Red Sea Crossing, which can go from anywhere from $10,000 to $13,800. Good Lord.
And that's insane. I mean this game was also, interestingly enough, like the 3 games we've mentioned at this point, all Atari.
Yeah, so far, yep.
All Atari. So, and what's interesting is that in this article we're reading, in 2007, this user logged into the forums on AtariAge.com, and he said he picked up a copy of Red Sea Crossing for 50 cents at a garage sale. And basically, Red Sea Crossing, if you don't know what the game is about, you take on the role of Moses. It's a biblical game.
There you go.
And the job, obviously, your job is you need to cross the Red Sea. But as you're crossing the Red Sea in this game, you're dodging fish and turtles and arrows being thrown at you by the Egyptians.
That's probably what really happened.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's exactly what happened. Of course it was. But only a few hundred cartridges were ever made. So when this person found out about it, you know, he decided to throw it up on eBay after a certain amount of time, see how much money he got, and he sold it for $10,000. Wow.
That is a wild flip.
Well, that's a great investment.
Yeah, man.
I gave somebody 50 cents, and I made a $10,000 profit.
Holy cow. And what's cool is later on, there was some shop in Philly, I guess a Medium Bob's Curiosity Shop, which was selling the game for $50. And after they learned about the auction, they threw their $50 copy they were trying to sell on eBay, which sold for about almost $13,900. So that's...
Hey, you know what? That's, it's funny because there are games out there, and this is just a point. There are games out there that, you may not even realize that you have that could be worth this much money if you got to do a little research, but you need to figure it out. So if anybody out there has Red Sea Crossing, good for you.
Number 8, which has a really cool story to it here, a game called Air Raid. I don't know why I thought I remember playing this game, but I must be thinking of something else. Because I did not own a game that you can fetch for either anywhere between $3,000, and that's got to be just like the game pulled out of the bottom of a bin, to almost $33,500.
That's insane.
That is a ridiculous price range.
Yeah, and it's amazing how I'm curious to figure out exactly. I guess the range will be, do you still have the box for it? Do you have the instruction booklet for it? Because obviously the more complete the game is, the more money it's going to go for.
Yeah. And so originally people thought there's only about 12 copies left. So that made it a huge collectible item. And this one guy, Tanner Sandlin, in 2010... he was reading an article about this game, and this game had a very unusual, what they call the T-handle design, which kind of became somewhat popular. In fact, I think I have a game, Astro Blast, I don't know if that's considered the T design.
I think it is.
So he recognized the cartridge. He went into his garage, went through his games, and he found what was now known as the 13th copy of Air Raid in box.
Yep.
And he sold it for $31,600.
Oh, and just so you know, that Astro Blast is not the T design.
Oh no, what's the T design look like then?
No, the T design.
I don't have a $30,000 game.
The cartridge looks like it has a handle on the top of it that you can hold on to.
What the hell is that? I've
That
never
is
seen
Air
that
Raid,
before.
my friend.
Wow. Okay, yeah, no, I never had that.
Yeah, neither did I.
Seen that?
I wish I did.
Yeah, right.
I can use $30,000.
Apparently, there was only one copy of Air Raid that is considered complete in box, meaning even the instruction manual is in it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm sure somewhere out there in the universe, there's another Air Raids.
And this guy sold his for $33,433. It's not too bad.
Absolutely insane.
All right, so what's next here?
I think that's it for the Atari list.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's broken down. I was wondering why that was on there. All right.
Yep.
So next up, number 7, the Nintendo Power Fest 1994. A game here that runs anywhere between $10,000, pretty much anywhere between 10 and 11 grand.
Yes. So, and the Nintendo Power Fest, we've touched on this a little bit because we did a podcast, one of our podcasts about the Nintendo World Championships, which Larry and I both went to. The Nintendo Power Fest was another event they did in 1994, where people competed against one another, but there were three games that you got to play. And it was Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels, Super Mario Kart, and Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League. And whoever got the best score in each city went to the World Championships and all that stuff. So for the tour, though, only 33 copies of the game, of the Nintendo Power Fest game, was produced. So again, it's one of those things where it's like it's super, super rare. So if you happen to run across something like this, you're looking at a cool 10 to 12 grand in your pocket if you sell it.
And listen to this. So with this game, the Ken Griffey Jr. version of the game, basically in this competition cartridge, when you were playing the Ken Griffey Jr. baseball, you hit a home run, it was 10,000 points, which, wasn't really a lot of points to get the overall win on the cartridge. A lot of people were focusing on the Mario game to do that. So what they did later on is they actually changed the Ken Griffey Jr. home run points to 1,000,000 points, actually really giving it some oomph. So the original guy here who had a cartridge, because this thing was, Nintendo returned them to use them for parts, the guy sold it for like 12 grand, and he actually had like the $10,000 point version, which is more rare than the 1,000,000 point version with the home runs. But here's the part that kicks. So this guy J.J. Hendricks bought that cart in 2012 January for $12,000. He threw it up on eBay in 2013 and had a bid for over $23,000.
Wow.
The highest bidder backed out, and he ended up only selling it for 11. Now, granted, only 11. It's still a lot of money, 11,000. But imagine having 23,000 and then the bidder going, meh, I don't want it anymore.
Well, no, forget about that. Imagine buying it for 12,000 and turning it around and selling it for 11. So he lost.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he did lose money in the auction. Yeah.
Yeah, he wound up losing $1,000 on the deal. I would have preferred, like at that point, I would have hung on to it if I could have, and then just waited for it to increase in value. Unfortunately, I think rules of eBay are once if a bidder backs out, it goes to the next highest bidder. It
is now. I don't know if the rules maybe were different back then. Who knows?
I don't think so, because if I were this guy, I would have kept it.
That's true. Next up on the list, number 6, a game which I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really familiar with. A game called Super Copa, which runs for about $400 to about $6,900. I feel like this list is out of order.
I think the list is a little bit out of order if you're really looking at it. I have a feeling that they have them listed in console order.
Probably. You're exactly right.
And that's what it is. Yeah. So we're going kind of like the top 3 Atari, top 3 Super Nintendo, whatever it is. So Super Copa, honestly, I've never heard of it until I saw this list. So anybody who knows what Super Copa is, good for you. If you do not know, it's a South American version of the North American soccer game, Tony Meola's Sidekicks Soccer.
Say that 3 times fast.
I would prefer not to. It was distributed in South America by a company named Playtronic. However, there's a second version of the game with a different box and label artwork that doesn't say Playtronic on it at all. So this made people believe that it was actually released in North America by a different company. So whatever that alternative version of the game is, it's extremely rare to find. So obviously collectors are going after it. Now, at least a loose version could go for like $400, but a sealed copy, there was a brand new sealed copy of the game that sold for about $6,900.
Well, it looks like there's a bunch of figures, bootlegs, coming out of there, filling up on eBay. So it's the loose cartridges are cheap. The original box, if the original box is part of the auction, that will go as high as $400. But you're exactly right. If it's factory sealed, we're looking at almost $7,000.
Well, which is interesting, because if the cartridges are going for less, I wonder if there's a way to get a cartridge and then have it appraised.
It's to see if it's crazy seeing the jump in loose cartridge versus cartridge in box versus factory sealed.
Yeah, factory sealed. Well, I mean, you gotta think about it. I mean, if you have a factory sealed game from like 30 years ago, you gotta imagine that very few of those exist.
Well, we're gonna touch on that in a little while.
We are. Let's move on.
Next up, number 5, Exertainment Mountain Bike Rally and Speed Racer Combo Cart. Which can go, and this is for the Super Nintendo, ranges anywhere from $1,500 to $3,700.
Yep. So why is this game so interesting?
You tell me.
Funny you should ask. So let me get the name right. So Exertainment Mountain Bike Rally and Speed Racer Combo Cart.
Say that 3 times fast.
Was released back in 1994 by a company called Life Fitness. and they released the Exertainment System.
I remember this thing.
Yep. If you remember what this was, it was a combination exercise bike and entertainment system with a TV screen built into the console. So basically, if you loved your exercise bike, this exercise bike allowed you to watch cable television, life fitness exercise programs, or you could play games on the built-in Super Nintendo using special controllers that were split between each handle of the bike.
I remember seeing this in a catalog.
Yep.
Not a catalog, a magazine.
Sears catalog, maybe?
Maybe, who knows?
Maybe did you ask for it for Christmas?
No, I was a chubby kid when I was little. I was not going on any gym.
We're going anywhere near an exercise bike. You can play video games, huh?
I knew my.
We all have our limits, folks. So anyway, the games for it, there were 2 games that were made. There was Mountain Bike Rally and Speed Racer, and then they had individual cartridges, and then they had a combo cart. Of course, because this was a high-tech item, it was super expensive, so a lot of these didn't get sold. And then as people got rid of the bike, they got rid of the games because they only worked with the bike, which makes these games really hard to come by. So a loose copy of Mountain Bike Rally by itself only will sell for like $25. And this is the solo cartridge of Mountain Bike Rally.
Yeah.
And then if you have a sealed copy, you can get from $50 to $350. So again, not a big amount of money.
No.
But if you have the combo cartridge, it can bring in anywhere from over $1,500 for a loose cartridge, or up to $3,700 for the sealed.
$1,500 for a loose cartridge. That is wild stuff.
That is very wild. I want the exercise bike.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I do remember seeing that. It's pretty cool.
I got to look that up.
You know what's cool? You know how like comic books are graded and baseball cards are graded and stuff like that. I don't know if you ever seen, like, I've seen video game boxes graded, and in those cases,
they have companies that do that now.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So that's starting to happen now.
That's something else that's going to get all my money.
Yeah, honestly, it's a lot of money to grade. It's ridiculous.
Although right now I'm looking at a picture with the of the Exertainment life cycle. It's wow. It's a massive piece of equipment.
Is it really?
Well,
you got to think some people.
God. This isn't the better half. So this isn't your other podcast. And it's not Custer's Revenge anymore either.
Hey-o. Oh, so, that is not at all what I was thinking.
Well,
of.
You have to remember, it had to have a whole TV attached to it, and this was the early 90s. So
no, you're right. It sure does look
you needed a whole extra piece.
That does look like it was
just
pulled
to hold
out of the
TV
90s.
Monitor onto
Good
it.
Lord. And that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of something else.
What's funny is I found an image of it in a store.
Yeah, honestly, look at that.
Somebody has this in a store because there's a Wii U behind it in the glass case. So this is a recent picture.
Right? Wii U, PS3. Interesting.
So if anybody's interested, you can get yourself an Exertainment life cycle.
Is a ColecoVision back there?
Yeah.
Horrible NES Max controller. Terrible controller.
Okay, cool. So the price tag for this life cycle, at whatever store it is that I'm looking at it in, $10,000.
All right, and it will remain in that store for some time to come. Life Fitness
until the end of time.
Boy, Life Fitness is still in business too.
They are.
Huh.
Good for them. Good. Moving on.
All right, what do we got next?
Now we're moving on to the NES, where we will have we'll have 4 games to talk about now.
And you got to think NES is going to be kind of the older the system, the pricier the game. So up next,
and we're gonna and basically the three we're going to talk about may be known, by a number of people because these are the ones everybody talks about.
These are the big ones. Yep. Number 4 of the 11, Nintendo Campus Challenge, which ranged from $14,000 to a little over $20,000.
Wow.
That is a pretty penny.
Yep.
In the early 90s, too, man. I remember this Campus Challenge. Well, hearing about it.
Yes, we weren't in college then.
No.
And I think only one of us was in high school.
Yes. Well,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, just about. But what happened? Yeah, so the Campus Challenge, again, similar to Power Fest and Nintendo World Championships, they held this challenge at college campuses all throughout the country, where you played a special World Championship cartridge. You had 6 minutes to play for high scores of on three games. You played Super Mario Bros. 3, Pinbot, and Dr. Mario.
I'm trying to remember Pinbot.
And highest scores obviously went on in the tournament until somebody won the whole thing. But again, because they only made these cartridges for the Campus Challenge, they were very rare, especially because most of the copies of this game were destroyed after the competition tour ended for some reason.
But one genius Nintendo employee kept his.
And sold it at a garage sale.
Yeah, that's what you do. Rob Walters sold it at a garage sale, like you said, in 2006. Apparently, actually, he sold... Wait, this one garage sale sold... Let's see. All kinds of NES... By the time he resold everything, he made... So this guy made almost $50,000 when it was all said and done. Yep. The Campus Challenge cartridge alone sold for $14,000. By apparently, this guy is known in the collecting world. J.J. Hendricks again, he's back, and he flipped it to $20,000 on eBay.
Yep. And now the interesting thing about Nintendo Campus Challenge, because Nintendo destroyed all of the copies except this one that this employee has, as far as anybody knows, this is the only copy of the game that exists still.
Wow.
So I'm actually surprised that it didn't go for more, considering that there are other ones on the list that go for more, if this is the only cartridge in existence. So I expect that sucker to be worth a lot more money in years to come.
Number 3. Now, number 3, and we're going to have one coming up here in a moment that's kind of new to the list, but from the list that we're looking at, I don't want to give anything away just yet, but if you look at the list, to me, number 1 and number 2 on this list, I feel like can flip-flop at any moment as far as what is considered the number 1 game to collect. You know what I mean?
I agree with you completely. I think you can go back and forth. Right now, the only thing we can go by is which one sold for more.
Exactly.
So that would actually make this one number 3 now, even though it was number 2 up until yesterday.
So we're looking at both the gray and the gold 1990 Nintendo World Championship carts. The gray
game card. I wish I had.
Right? The gray cartridge can go from anywhere from $8,500 to a little over $20,000. The gold version, almost $27,000,
which is absolutely insane.
Ridiculous.
But again, this was the Nintendo World Championships that you and I went to, and the one where you were afraid to play in the tournament, but I wasn't.
Terrified.
I played twice. Didn't win, but played twice. So, but there were, as far as we know, that championship cartridge, which again, similar to the Nintendo Campus Challenge, there were demo versions of 3 games on there: Super Mario Bros. Rad Racer and Tetris, and you can only play the game for 6 minutes, and ultimately the highest score would win of all the people playing in the tournament. And that's all that this cartridge does. Now, the gray one, they've accounted for about 90 of these cartridges out there somewhere, which is why it goes for less. But the gold one, there are only 26, which is why that one, the last one that sold on eBay, went for like almost $27,000.
Wild. It's funny. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but I was going to say, this is one of those cartridges where people, you hear stories all the time from people who randomly find these things. Whereas, I was at a garage sale, I bought a bunch of games, lo and behold, this was in there. And it's like, wow, okay, that's kind of awesome.
There's a really good episode of the Angry Video Game Nerd with Pat the NES Punk on it about the World Championship, which is really funny. If you look that up on YouTube, it's a pretty good one.
Yes, it is.
All right, so this is where we're going to add the new game that's making it number 11 on this list.
No, it's number 2.
Number 2, excuse me, on this list of 11.
You really can't count, can
you?
It's
late. It's after 11 o'clock. So what's sold here...
It's a Friday night.
And I'm old. So...
Of course, you're all hearing this on Tuesday, but it's Friday night for us.
This is a single game, not even really like a bunch of games, but this is a single game that just recently sold, and I'm talking like literally recently just sold on eBay, a original, let me rephrase that, an original sealed Super Mario Brothers $30,000.
Wow.
And whoever sold it, whoever bought it really should be suing for false advertising because the game was only listed at $26.99.
Well, because that's how much it went for back in the day. So apparently this person who sold it just happened to come across it, right? He just happened to from the article I read, he just found this sealed copy,
honestly,
somewhere, and he decided to throw it up. He threw it up on eBay. Oh, I'm sorry. It was a website. For those of you, any retro gamer fans out there, there's a website called DK Oldies. DK like Donkey Kong, oldies.com. DK Oldies. And they sell retro games. You can buy used games there. And what I also like about their site is you can buy instruction manuals and you can buy boxes.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yep. So
wow.
If you want, now, not going to lie, the boxes aren't cheap, depending
sure.
on the game that you want to buy them for.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can buy instruction manuals and boxes to complete your games, which, trust me, I will probably do one day. But apparently, like, he had a whole bunch of games. Like, he had a bunch that he was sitting on that he decided, I'm finally going to throw them up and see what happens. And this wasn't the only one he sold because, according to the article, he had a sealed copy of Kid Icarus that sold for $10,000.
Good Lord.
And then he put up the Super Mario Brothers sealed, not knowing what he was going to get for it. He started the bidding at a penny.
That's the part of that's what I love about the article. He didn't really care what he was going to get. He just wanted to sell it.
And then all of a sudden, $30,000. Was it 30 or 36?
$30,100.44.
Yeah, insane. So I mean,
minus eBay fees.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure eBay takes a nice little chunk of that. But still, I mean, considering the fact that threw it up for a penny, let's see what happens, and boom, $30,000.
Wow,
that's
unbelievable!
insane.
And it's such a common game. That's what's funny about it. You can pull a Super Mario Brothers out of your whatever because there's so many versions of this game. I mean, so many copies of this original game.
How many sealed versions are in existence?
That's what I'm saying. Like like the game normally goes for like $5 or $10 or something like that.
Although I bet like in Japan or in Seattle right now, like at like Nintendo of America or Nintendo Japan, they're sitting there laughing because they probably have like boxes of them still. They're just like, some idiot paid $30,000. We have like 100 of them right here. Or they're about to make a few $1 million.
Honestly, I didn't realize that about Kid Icarus too, man. This guy's good Lord. Good.
I mean, hey, you know what? That's what happens when when you collect property.
I have a few weeks ago. I told you I bought a copy of Defender of the Crown on NES, and it was a really good condition. It's not mint, but I mean, it's really, really good condition. It's really, I don't know. I should kind of check it out. Who knows? I bought it for $5. Maybe I can flip it for like 20.
Yeah, dude. You know what? Do it, man. I mean. But this guy is actually a really good collector. He's got a lot of stuff up on his site. You can buy games complete with box and instruction booklet, or you can just buy like individual cartridges, whatever you want. I may actually, now that I'm looking at, I'm flipping through his site while we're talking about this stuff. I may grab myself a copy of Gauntlet 2 complete for $30.
Darkwing Duck for $200.
Oh, and by the way, he's got Legend of Zelda for $110.
Ooh.
So you may not have to wait for the expo.
All right.
But anyway.
Hold on. Real quick. He has, yes, the original Legend of Zelda for $110. He's also got the re-released Classic Series for $110. Come on, that should be cheaper.
Well, you know what? I mean, that could be as rare. So, who knows? But anyway, let's get back to our list and hit number 1.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at somebody's prices. All right, so
pay attention, Larry. Let's go.
Wow,
top of the list.
$300 for a Die Hard? Come on. Okay, number 1 on this list. God damn. Number 1 on this list for a game that tops out. Forget about the low end on it. Tops out at about $41,300. The box alone can go for $10,000. Is the ever popular Stadium Events.
Stadium events. Nobody's been able to, at least at this moment, nobody's been able to beat this game. So was released by Bandai in 1987, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was made for the Family Fun Fitness Mat, which basically looked like a Twister. If you remember correctly, right?
It's the Power Pad.
Yeah, it was the Power Pad.
In fact, actually, it was re-released as the Power Pad. This I didn't know about.
Yep, it was the Family Fun Fitness Mat. So basically, when you played the stadium events, you stepped on the mat and you ran. So it was like, you were exercising with the controller at your feet. But then what happened was Nintendo bought the rights to the game and the mat, and then they did, so then Stadium Events was discontinued. The Family Fun Fitness Mat was discontinued, and then Nintendo re-released the game as World Class Track Meet, and then they renamed the mat to the Power Pad that you know.
Wow.
And then to avoid any type of confusion in store, Nintendo pulled all the copies of Stadium Events from shelves and had them destroyed, so that everybody would just buy World Class Track Meet. However, about 200 copies of Stadium Events sold before Nintendo pulled them off the shelves. So, and then of those 200, they're estimating that only about 20 of them, 20 complete copies still exist.
With 3 factory sealed.
And then one of those factory sealed ones was the copy that sold for over $41,000.
Listen to this story. So with the $41,000 one, so the guy in Kansas had a factory sealed copy of the game that he was about to donate to Goodwill. Ha ha! Goodwill, you lost out on some money. So he heard this guy heard the success of this other lady selling Stadium Event for like $13,000, a box alone selling for $10,000. So he bought the game in 1987, never had the fitness mat. He couldn't find the mat, and he just forgot to return it. He meant to return the game. Imagine that, forgetting to return the game, and then 30 years later being able to sell that game for $41,000.
Isn't that insane? Yeah, that's absolutely insane.
And then earlier last year, is sold for $35, so it's starting to decrease in value. But still, those were 3 factory sealed. Meanwhile, the reversioned World Class Track Meet, $5.
Yeah, so if you want to pretend that you own Stadium Events, you can go out there and buy World Class Track Meet, and you have the same exact game, but it's just not the same, is it?
That is, folks, your top 11 expensive games out there. And if you see any, let us know. We'd be interested.
We'll be happy to swoop in and steal those.
We'll have our people call your people. Folks, come on down to Garden City, New York, to the Cradle of Aviation Museum, Saturday, August 12th, Sunday, August 13th, for the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo 2017. The Retro Gamers are going to be there. Anthony's flying in from L.A. for this. Can you believe it?
Just for this and no other reason whatsoever would I be coming to New York. I'm only coming to New York for the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo.
He's not
even though the SoCal Retro Gaming Expo is on the same weekend.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Well, guess what? Long Island Retro Gaming Expo is better because you can get your tickets right now. expo.liretro.com/tickets. Get them now. They're $5 cheaper. Single day tickets. $20 for adults, $10 for children, ages 2 to 12. 2-day weekend pass, $30 for adults, $15 for children, ages 2 to 12. And the advanced tickets are up until midnight, August 11th, Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, tickets are $5 more at the door, and the 2-day pass is not available at the door. And folks, remember, there's a Retrothon. There's tournaments going on. There's speakers. There's free play. Tons of free arcades. And there's tabletop gaming.
Wow, there's tabletop gaming. And for everybody out there who's listening, if you happen to hunt down one of us, Larry or Anthony, the Retro Gamers, we will make sure you get a brand spanking new business card from us.
Yes! For free! Yes, people! Free! So come meet us, and we're going to live broadcast from the Cradle of Aviation, from the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo. And if we're still there at night, there's Retro and Chill, let loose on Saturday night. After the tournaments and Everything's over. There's a cash bar on the second floor, free play area, and 80s karaoke. Guess who's getting drunk and going to be live on Facebook?
So what song are you singing?
This guy. Maybe I'll sing the theme of Super Mario Brothers. There are actual lyrics somewhere.
Okay, good. I'm holding it.
All right. So check it out. Come on down. Be on the podcast. Long Island Retro Gaming Expo 2017. Again, Saturday, August 12th from 10 to 10. Sunday, August 13th from 10 to 5. Get your tickets. expo.liretro.com/tickets.
And this week in gaming! What do we got, bro?
3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks in, and I'm still not tired of that intro.
Yeah, that's he's definitely.
Josh, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Josh.
He's definitely become a permanent fixture of this show.
Thank you. It's so nice to have a quality intro like that.
For
Especially
free.
when it was for free. Especially when it was impromptu.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely love it. Okay, so we're going to jump into This Week in Gaming. We are going to go all the way back to 1980 to start. So this week in 1980, the Game & Watch series released their game Fire in Japan.
Okay. Yep.
So that was in 1980. 1 year later, in 1981, if you're keeping track, since I just said 1980, Game & Watch release, again, they released the widescreen version of Popeye.
I forgot that was a Game & Watch game.
Yep, that was a Game & Watch game long before it became a game on the Famicom. Nice. It was one of the launch games for the Famicom as well, if you remember correctly. All right. Jumping to 1982, this is not a game, but actually a company. So Seta Corporation was founded in 1982, SETA. Their most popular games or most games you would recognize would be Twin Eagle and Twin Eagle 2.
Okay.
8 Eyes. I don't know if you remember the game.
I remember
8
that,
Eyes.
yeah.
Yes. Yep. Tetris 64 for the Nintendo 64.
Oh, okay.
And then they made a ton of Mahjong games in Japan. Different Mahjong games. So 1982, Seta Corporation. We're gonna jump over 83 because nothing happened in 83. I don't know why. 1984, on the Apple II computer in the U.S., we got Charlie Brown's ABCs.
Good grief.
Something educational if you should try, you want to track it down for today. 1985, on the Famicom in Japan, we got a game called Frontline.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
Do not know that.
I don't know why.
1986, also on the Famicom in Japan, one of my favorite puzzle games of all time, and I know you love it as well. It's on the NES Classic, Solomon's Key.
Oh, yes, on the Famicom. Mini Famicom Classic.
It's on the Mini Famicom, I'm sorry. It's not on the Classic.
Good game. Love that game.
Absolutely love that game. We're jumping to 1987. Now, this one took me by surprise. On the Famicom, 30 years ago, on the Famicom, they had a game called Karaoke Studio. Now, karaoke is big in Japan, and I know the Famicom on the second controller had a microphone.
Sure did.
That you can talk into. So apparently they had a karaoke game on their system.
Karaoke.
I'm actually curious to see how that would work.
Were there a lot of karaoke bars when you went? Did you see a lot of those?
Oh my God. Everywhere. Everywhere. Like, I'm not kidding you. It was like you hardly walked more than a block and you saw them.
It's nothing like a sad Japanese man singing karaoke.
Well, I wouldn't know. I did not go into any of them. Maybe next time. I don't know. Okay, moving on to 1988 on the Sega Master System in Japan, Thunderblade. Do you remember Thunderblade? I sort of do. Okay, good. We're going to just move on.
I'll be honest with you.
1989 on the Sega Genesis in Japan, because the Genesis came out in 1989, whereas the Super Nintendo came out, I believe, in 1991. So... yeah, Sega had 2 years up on Nintendo. But Sega Genesis, Ghouls and Ghosts.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, one of the more difficult games on the system. Jumping to 1990 on the Famicom in Japan, we got one of the most classic games ever released on the system. If you haven't played it, run out and buy it right now. I'm sure it's all over eBay because they did make it for the NES in the States. I know Larry particularly loves this game. Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout.
I did like that game. I don't know why.
That wasn't the one that I liked. I liked
Crazy
Castle.
Yeah.
Crazy Castle.
They also made like 20 of those. But
yes, I
Birthday
know.
Blowout was
And I don't think I ever finished it because there were like 99 levels and I just didn't have the patience to get through them all. Too many levels. And you can only put up with bugs for so long. Jumping a year later to 1991 on the Super Nintendo in the United States. Now, this is a game I know we both love. SimCity.
Oh, classic. Classic.
Absolute classic. Love that game. Still play it every once in a while when I have a chance.
Jack those taxes.
1992. We already talked about one game that was released in 1992 on DOS, and that was Lamatron 2112. But for this week in gaming, I will choose to focus on something a little more monumental than Lamatron. In the United States in 1992, this week in history, we got in our arcades all across the country Mortal Kombat.
Wow. 1992. I forgot it was that early. Yes.
25 years ago.
Only
Mortal
a year
Kombat.
after. Only really a year after Street Fighter 2. Okay.
Yep. 25 years ago, Mortal Kombat entered our lives, and the rest is Rating Board's history.
Who did you use most with the first Mortal Kombat?
Sub-Zero.
See, I was Raiden.
Oh, you were Raiden?
Yeah.
Did you? Was it the fact that you could teleport, or the thing where you flew across the screen?
It was more it was more the Superman. Listen, nothing beats. No, that's Liu Kang. Liu Kang did that.
That's what he used to do too, right?
He made a noise, but not like Liu Kang.
I don't remember. It was loud and obnoxious. If I remember correctly. But he did that anyway. Jumping over to 1993 on the Sega Genesis, very well remembered and probably mostly reviled Echo the Dolphin on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, I tried playing it. I never got into it.
I bought it. I liked it because I was like, this is cool. I'm a dolphin. I'm in the ocean. I'm swimming around. and then I'm like, wait, I don't know what to do.
Because I'm a dolphin swimming around the ocean.
Because I'm a dolphin swimming around, and all I get to do is talk to this whale, and then there's this giant jewel in the way, and I don't know, and that was it. I was done. Didn't last very long. Okay, moving on to 1994. We have, in Japan, Wrestle Angels 3 on the Sharp X 68000.
Cha-ching! Wrestle Angels 3? What the hell is that?
Wrestle Angels 3. Female wrestling?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
And the third one.
Oh, well, yeah.
We really need to get our hands on a Sharp X 68000.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure it's terrible.
Absolutely.
But we need to get our hands on one of those. I'll try and smuggle one into my suitcase next time. See what happens. 1995 on the Super Nintendo in Japan, we got Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island.
Okay, cool. That miserable sounding kid.
What?
Yoshi's
Island. Yeah, I remember that.
Baby Mario.
But the game was good.
No, the game was good. Yes, totally. But just every time
he was he whined a little bit. He was a baby. Babies cry. All right, 1996 on the Super Nintendo in the United States, Ms. Pac-Man.
Ooh, nice. All right.
Yep. Jumping to 1997, and this is not a game, but a console release. But in 1997, this week, the Nintendo 64 was released in Europe.
Oh, okay. All righty.
So Europe got their hands on the system about a year after we did.
Yeah, it's late. Holy cow.
Yeah, because we got ours, September of 96,
96? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, late September of 96, if I remember correctly.
I bought the system, and 3 weeks later, bought my first game.
Sat on that system for 3 weeks.
Remember, it was the first one to not come with a pack-in game, and Toys R Us was sold out of the cartridges.
Wait, but when you bought the system, you didn't buy any games with it?
No games were available.
But they had the system?
Don't ask. Yep. It was Toys R Us over on Knapp Street. Not Knapp Street, on Flatbush.
I went to Nobody Beats the Wiz. And I picked up, it was day of, And I'm not ashamed to say it was a birthday gift.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, there's a little something wrong with it when it's your 18th birthday.
What are you kidding me? I'm 37 and I'm hoping to get more game systems this Christmas.
Oh God, I think someone needs to give you the Santa talk.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about.
But 1996, I got that day of with Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings.
Yeah, I remember I bought the system and it, like, for some reason, you're right. If they had more systems and games, I'm like, I'm not waiting. I gotta get the system now. And then Super Mario 64 wasn't even on the shelves yet. I had to buy Cruisin' USA.
Haha.
That was my first game.
Loser.
Cruisin' USA.
You should have ran back and played with your Virtual Boy.
That was a year later. No, was it? No, it was before that.
No, Virtual Boy came out before the N64. In fact, if anything, they probably rushed the N64 to market so that they could get rid of that piece of trash. Please hurry up erasing the Virtual Boy from our lives.
Mustache Maniac.
Mustache Mayhem, everybody.
Mustache Mayhem.
Get your copy today. All right, moving on to 1998. I'm going to mention two games here. One because one's a personal one for me.
All right.
But in the arcade in Japan, Soul Calibur was released.
Ooh, nice.
Another. That's probably my favorite 3D fighter.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I like it. Was it? Yeah, it was 3D, right? Yes.
Pseudo 3D. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why. I always enjoyed that one a lot more, and the Dreamcast version was fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to stick in 1998 and name one other game because this is still a game that I'm trying to hunt down, and I must own it. And unfortunately, when I own it, I'm going to have to buy a whole system just for the game. But 1998, Shining Force 3 for the Sega Saturn was released.
God, yes.
I need that game. I need that game in my life.
To me, that's like the holy grail of games.
Well, I had my hands on it in Japan.
Really?
For the Sega Saturn. But Shining Force 3 in Japan, it's 3 games. It's part 1, part 2, part 3.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like that here, too.
But when I grabbed it, I somehow managed to explain to the store clerk, I was like, will this play on an American Saturn?
Oh.
And she went to find out, and she came back and told me no.
Oh.
Which I was very upset about. But I could have owned the whole thing for like $60.
What?
Yep.
Who reads the story? So it's in Japanese.
I want to know what's happening. But then I would have had to buy a whole Japanese Sega Saturn, which means all of my Sega Saturn games would be in Japanese.
Yeah, that's true.
As if I was going to buy other Sega Saturn games, but that's a whole other story. All right, moving on to 1999. Oh, well, sticking with the Sega Saturn in Japan, we got Street Fighter Alpha 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Jumping to 2000. There were a number of games that came out in 2000 this week in history. I decided to focus on one specific one because it's near and dear to my heart and to Frank Messina's heart, and we're talking about Frank from The Better Half. Baldur's Gate was released on the Macintosh in 2000, which eventually led to Baldur's Gate 2 Dark Alliance, which we all know Frank and I love very dearly. Moving on to 2001. On the Game Boy Color in the United States, we got Pokemon Crystal.
Ooh, nice.
I still got to play a Pokemon game.
Yeah, so do I.
That's not Stadium and all that stuff. Like
oh, yeah, right? Yeah.
2002 on the Mac, or Macintosh in the U.S., Fallout 2.
Oh, wow.
Yep. That's 15 years old.
Wow. Holy cow. Okay.
Moving on to 2003. Now we're getting into it. 2003 on the Xbox in the U.S. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Island Thunder.
Good one.
Yeah, those Tom Clancy games are so popular.
Oh, forget about it. Well, The Division, Wildlands, Ghost Recon Wildlands, they're phenomenal.
Yep, absolutely. Moving on to 2004 for Windows in the U.S., we got Doom 3.
Oh, okay.
Yes, first-person shooters. Which I never particularly loved, but I think I may still have the original Doom somewhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The one that used to run on either DOS or Windows 95.
Like on floppies?
No, it was a CD-ROM.
Oh, okay.
CD-ROM. I think I have that, and I have 7th Guest and 11th Hour, which are two of my favorite games for PC. Moving on. We've only got 2 years left to go through. In 2005, this was a toss-up, but I just had to... For the PlayStation 2, in Sweden, We got SingStar Svenska Hits.
Herder, birder, herder.
So many things wrong with that. Oh, and then also, I will point this out. In 2005 on the Xbox, they released, in Japan, Atari 80 classic games in one. So this whole Atari compilation flashback thing, that's been going on for like over 15 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And we're going to close off This Week in Gaming in 2006 on the GameCube and the PlayStation 2 in the United States. Super Monkey Ball Adventure.
Oh, nice. Good game. Good game.
Really good game. Really fun game. And that is This Week in Gaming. I hope you enjoyed that.
Woo.
Well, yeah.
That was a good
Sure.
one. Apparently, we have to save up our money for a lot of these games.
I know. I can't wait to go broke in like a couple weeks at that expo.
My God. Bring cash.
I will bring my bank with me. I'll just bring a banker. I'd be like, all right, give him my money. Not much money.
Oh, man. So you got anything coming up there for you, buddy?
Do I have any? No, I have a trip to Orlando next week. I don't know if I will have time. There's a possibility that I will, and if I do have time, I will see if I can seek out a little retro game shop somewhere near my hotel.
Sweet.
I will plug something, but it's not related to retro gaming.
That's all right.
Next week, a movie I've been waiting for a good portion of my adult life is coming out in theaters. Stephen King's The Dark Tower drops on August 4th.
Oh, that's next week already?
Yeah, next Friday.
Wow.
And I will be in Orlando, and I will be at City Walk that evening, and I will be watching The Dark Tower because I have to see that opening day, whether it's that Thursday night or Friday. Have to see that movie. Those are some of my most favorite books of all time, if not my most favorite book series of all time. Anybody who's listening, if you haven't read the books, read them. If not, go see the movie because I want to see a sequel.
Side note, did you see the trailer for Ready Player One?
I did see the trailer for Ready Player One. It looks awesome. Yes, I read Ready Player One. I thought was a great book.
Fantastic.
However, I quickly forgot about that trailer because they dropped a new Stephen King's It trailer yesterday, and oh man, wow.
Ant's more the Stephen King fan. Actually, he is the Stephen King fan of the two of us.
Yes, but holy cow, that trailer!
All right, I check that one out.
Yes, please.
Cool.
What about you? What's going on?
I got nothing. Well, I mean, I got a lot of stuff happening, but nothing really to plug per se. At least not yet. A few weeks. Some stuff with Pro Wrestling Syndicate, but we'll get into that a little bit later. In the meantime, just gearing up for a long SummerSlam weekend in August, gearing up for the Expo, and other than that, that's pretty much about it. So, folks, check us out everywhere. Remember, Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, on Instagram at @the_RetroGamers, and theretrogamers.com. Check us out there. You know, we're posting up pictures, we're posting up some cool stuff we find, stuff we buy, and stuff we think that you're into. And post. You know, respond, post, let us hear what you think. Yes, even because it is starting to become a thing. #VB sucks, SUX.
That's right, because we all need to remember that VB sucks.
Has started to take off, so I guess, and I understand trends when I see them, so you can comment with #VB sucks, SUX, and
remember, you're not just doing that for Larry's benefit. You're doing it for the benefit of all mankind, because everybody needs to know that the Virtual Boy sucks.
And with that, we're going to catch you all next week. Ant, have a good one.
You too.